You know, that's all. You swipe right,
and that gets you
a lot of stuff on any site.
Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, the Eagles win, the Heisman finalists are out, and hockey is coming to Seattle. But we begin today with the retirement of Urban Meyer from Ohio State, effective the day after he coaches in the Rose Bowl, and the promotion from within of Ryan Day, the offensive coordinator, to head coach. Wilbon, what is the future of Urban Meyer? What is the future of Ohio State?
Well, Tony, you know, the future of Urban Meyer is actually much more complicated to me. I mean, we sat around in our newsroom here in Washington for an hour. We went back and forth about what we think will happen. Will he coach again? If so, how soon? If so, where does he go? If not, what does he do? You know, there's so much there. Ohio State seems like we saw the first 3 games with Coach Day in charge. It didn't look all that different from Urban Meyer. If we look to Oklahoma and Lincoln Riley, succeeding Bob Stoops, it can be done. So I think Ohio State, if not will march along, will at least roll along. Urban Meyer's situation, I think he's going to stay retired for a little while. You don't seem to.
No, I think he'll be back. I think he's done this before. I wish him all the best of health, obviously.
Yes.
I think he's a great coach. I'm not a fan, as you know. I think he has publicly lied repeatedly. I think he's done it for expedience. I think that he will carry that with him wherever he goes. But he is such a great coach that I think he will be on the top of everybody's wish list. And I believe at my age, he's a young man. At your age, he's a young man. I think within 2 years, he'll be back. I think he could go to the pros, but I think he'd be better off in college. He's an established great coach. I think he'll coach.
I mean, I think in 3 or 4 years, if he thinks his health is much better, if he feels much better, if his doctors, you know, which would include a cardiologist and all kinds of specialists, given that Urban has had multiple issues.
That's right.
If those people advise him that it's okay to come back,
he'll coach.
I can see him coming back. He has, to me, Tony, and I paid a lot of attention to Urban Meyer because he's more than Saban, because he's in the conference with my school's in. He has a commanding presence, to me, that's even greater than Nick Saban's. And I think he could come back and be very successful if he wants to.
Let me go to Ohio
But I think
State
it's longer than you do.
Yeah, that's true. Let me go to Ohio State for a second. Because Lincoln Riley is the best example in the way that Jimmy Johnson, going from college to pros, is the best example. Not everybody hits that bar. I think that it's possible that Ryan Day, in a couple of years, people are going, what did we do here? Because Ohio State is the top of the mountain. You don't get the chairlift up there. You got to actually climb that mountain. I'm not sure that they're going to hum along the way you think they're going to hum along. I'm not sure.
You think that the Michigan people are happy today?
I think the happiest guy in America is Jim Harbaugh because he thinks he can beat Ryan Day.
With you there.
From that school up north, as they like to say.
School up north. The finalists have been announced for Saturday's awarding of the Heisman Trophy, and nobody should be surprised that Bama's Tua Tagovailoa, Oklahoma's Kyler Murray, Ohio State's Dwayne Haskins are the 3 who will sit nervously together in New York. A month ago, Tua would have been a runaway winner, but sitting out 4th quarters and missed time due to injuries coincided with Murray lighting it up. And Haskins is coming off back-to-back performances that averaged 400 yards and 5.5 touchdowns per game. Tone, you still think Tua's the most deserving of the 3?
I think Tua is deserving, very deserving. I'm as guilty as anyone of being influenced by what I just saw. If you go over the course of the season, Alabama was so dominant and Tua was so great that I thought until last Saturday, and I did, until last Saturday, not that he was a runaway, but that he was a decisive winner in this. What I saw last Saturday, when he had 2 interceptions against Georgia, and when he left when he was hurt, Alabama was losing that game, and Kyler Murray went for like 375, 3-0 in a similar conference championship.
And Haskins.
You
can stay up later to watch Haskins.
I've got him third. I've got him third. But I thought that the scales tipped a little bit then, and if you look at Tua in the 2 biggest games in LSU and Georgia, 3 touchdowns and 3 interceptions.
Not as good.
So, no.
I spent the entire months of October, November, telling my son to shut up when he would say anybody other than Tua. And he kept talking about Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray, Dad. Kyler Murray would just say, shut up.
Spin it.
Shut up. This is going to be unanimous. Stop it. Leave me alone.
It looked that way.
And then Saturday night,
it was different.
Watching Haskins and Murray, I had to say, I'm backing off here because like you, now here's what I didn't do. And I voted for this award close to 20 years, maybe longer. I did not even in the snail mail days send my vote in, my ballot in, like 2 weeks early.
Well, you have to watch them all.
Angers me.
You have to watch them all.
The games.
Yeah, you have to watch them all.
Okay, so what do you think's going to happen?
I actually think that Kyler Murray is going to win at this point because there's the excitement about him, baseball, football.
If we go usage, Tony, Murray and Haskins, they got lots more passes and carries than Tua, who wasn't even playing. It was like Steph Curry 2 years ago in the fourth quarter. He wasn't out there.
You can't punish him
for
being a great player on a great team. I think the best thing the college football playoff has going for it is Alabama against Oklahoma. I think they will finish 1-2. I think they will. The Philadelphia Eagles have now won back-to-back games for the first time this season. They beat the Giants last week. They beat the Redskins last night to pull even at 6-6 and feel a sense of optimism that they can make it back to the playoffs. Next Sunday, the Eagles get Dallas at Dallas with first place in the division on the line.
That's a big one.
Wilbon, do you now believe in the Eagles?
I mean, I don't know that I believe in the Cowboys as much as other people do. I know they got the defense, and that's, for me, that's nirvana, having a great defense. Philadelphia still does stuff, Tony. The play calling seems weird. Some of the execution. I mean, I know last night that touchdown that Norman picks off and goes the other way when Philadelphia should have been up earlier by more in that game. There are things the Eagles don't do that they did last year that give me pause when answering that question.
I don't believe in them right now. If they go to Dallas and beat Dallas, I might very well believe in them, although I don't see them as a Super Bowl team. I think the two biggest things that happened from the middle of the year on were Golden Tate going to the Eagles and Amari Cooper going to the Cowboys. Yeah. But I want to point this out. Here's what the Eagles have next. They got at Cowboys, at Rams, Texans at home. They finish at Redskins. 33-15. That's the record of those four teams. They are right now, there's not a single team that they have beaten that right now is over 500. And they are 0-3 against the only teams that are above 500 they've played on their schedule. So you have to tell me, where does the confidence come from when you say they're ready to go?
That's why I don't have any.
Right.
That's why I said, I'm not sure about the Eagles. And I think that reflects the way we should feel about most of the NFL, which is part of the NFL's magic. You don't know. Yeah. There's mystery involved. You're not going into the play the Warriors on their home court. You've got to go beat some teams that no one knows if you can beat, including at home when you get Houston. That seems to keep just winning every game. So I don't know. I think I feel that much better about the Cowboys.
You know where the magic hasn't landed?
Where?
It hasn't landed on the legs of the Washington quarterbacks. Ooh. When was the last time your first starter and your second starter went out with broken legs?
We're about to get to that. Another broken leg for another quarterback could get the Redskins as much criticism as sympathy, at least here in Washington. Despite having to play Mark Sanchez last night and going forward, the Redskins say they will not sign Colin Kaepernick to even come and back up Sanchez. Coach Jay Gruden says Kaepernick was discussed, but that it was decided there's not enough time for him to pick up a system totally foreign to him in just a few days. But former Eagles boss Joe Banner, now in the media, tweeted the other Redskins shouldn't stand for management to stiff-arm Kaepernick for political reasons. Ouch. Tony, what do you think of all that?
So I think it's a really complicated story. The first thing I'm going to take issue with is the notion that Colin Kaepernick could come anywhere, but certainly come to Washington and back up Mark Sanchez. If you sign him, you play him. I mean, it's too big a political football not to play him. If you have
you'd start him?
100%.
Necessarily?
I think you have to.
I'm going to disagree with you there.
By the second week, I think you have to. I don't think you can bring him in and sit him on the bench. I think he's too big for that. And now I think we have to sort of separate the mythology of Colin Kaepernick from the football player. And we have to ask ourselves a series of questions. The two most important ones to me as a football player are this. Does he want to play football?
Okay, yes.
And
he's training and working toward that every day physically.
Practicing to play football.
As much as he can, he's not in 7-on-7.
That's right.
Unless it's high school or college.
Can't do it.
Here's my primary issue. And let me say this about Dan Snyder, who we tend to tip around here for a lot of reasons. Dan Snyder was once upon a time a guy who could identify with, put his arm around, embrace strong, rebellious, maverick, outspoken black players in this league.
Sure.
Dan Snyder was almost their champion. Everybody wanted to come black players, play for Dan Snyder.
Get a lot of money.
And lately it seems like Dan Snyder's just scared. Now, maybe he's not scared. But if you signed the guy you signed off the San Francisco 49ers after he was waived, Reuben Foster, given his severe issues, if you can sign him, but you can't sign Colin Kaepernick, that says you're scared.
There's a second,
as an owner,
there's a second level to that. And the second level is if Colin Kaepernick stands for the ideal of social justice, can he go to a team that just signed Reuben Foster? Can he go to a team named the Redskins?
I don't know.
I mean, these
there are a lot of questions.
Complicated issues.
But I tell you what, to not pick up the phone and at least bring him in, to work him out, to do whatever you need to do. But you signed a guy with the allegations and the legal issues confronting him that are confronting Foster?
Well, see, what I thought they would do,
are you kidding?
After they saw Matt Barkley win games or win one game, Cody Kessler win a game, and they bring in another USC guy, I thought they'd try to call Matt Leinart and bring him in at this point. Winter sports are returning to Seattle, the largest American city without them. Today, the NHL Board of Governors unanimously voted to give Seattle an expansion team to begin play 3 years from now. That is a long time out. A lot can happen. That will give the NHL 32 teams. Wilbon, do you like Seattle for the NHL?
I don't know. I like Seattle for anything because I love Seattle. I may as well be Fraser Crane. I love Seattle.
You got the nickname picked out.
People. Yeah, the Emeralds.
Yeah,
I mean, don't sock eyes, stop with all that silly. Totems, stop. Okay. Emeralds. Now, I don't know whether it's a basketball town. The Pacific Northwest is a basketball region, and the NBA, to me, has failed because they took a team out of Vancouver. They couldn't put a team back in Seattle. They got the Trailblazers, in all the Pacific Northwest and a bunch of teams in places they probably shouldn't be. And the NHL is trying to take advantage of this, a well-to-do population that is not going to apparently get basketball, but they want to embrace something.
Yeah.
And they got an arena, and the NHL saying, hey, well, come on, we'll put a winning team in there. They'll be like the Golden Knights because they're going to be subject to the same expansion
That's so crazy.
Personnel situation.
That is so insane.
No, it isn't. Because they're going to make them good right away.
Let's say the Vegas Golden Knights went to the final in their first year. Yeah. Let's say you own Toronto, and you're waiting 40 years to get a sniff of the Stanley Cup final.
Then your problem isn't Vegas.
These punks get in there because it is rigged for that.
If you're Toronto, your problem ain't Vegas because you've been garbage for 4 decades.
Can I ask you a couple of questions here?
Yeah.
3 years from now, global warming could swamp Seattle. Next up is Anchorage.
How great would it be?
Why not just put them in next year? What are you doing? What are you waiting for?
I don't know. I don't know what to do. I think the stadium is ready. The populace wants a team. They got money lined up. Yeah. They got coffee, right?
So wait, the last time I looked, did they have Boeing? Did they have Starbucks?
The stadium has to be renovated.
Did they have Nordstrom?
It wouldn't take 3 years. I don't believe it. Seattle's one of the greatest cities in the world.
We renovated in 6 weeks. Just start throwing money. Money.
If you're the NBA, what are you thinking?
I don't know why. You feel stupid. Let's take a break. Coming up, is the Packers opening really more attractive than the Browns job?
And could the Ravens really catch the Steelers in the AFC Central? It's not the North. It's the AFC Central. It's the NFC Central. The Packers, Vikings, Lions, and Bears play in the NFC Central.
I'm good with
that. Not the North.
I don't care.
It's not we the North.
I still call it the Pack.
Pardon the interruption is brought to you by Geico.
The Browns are a much younger team. They've got a young, promising quarterback. They clearly have a GM now who knows what he's doing. But ownership is very dicey there. Jimmy Haslam has made a slew of bad decisions. I don't know that I'd want to go there. I think I would rather go for the short term with whatever Aaron Rodgers has left because I know he's great, and I would just hope that the people in Green Bay in management positions would get a little more talent around him. So I would take Green Bay.
This is not hard. You have to go back and forth and ping pong this. In the short term, in the long term, for any consideration you can make, the answer is the Green Bay Packers, who have been to title games in the conference in 95, 96, 97, 07, 10, 14, 16.
What about now?
That's 6 of them.
What about now?
16 was 2 years ago.
Okay,
what have the Browns been to now or then? The last time they went to a title game was 1989 with our pal Bernie Kosar. Answer, Packers.
Next.
Toss up. Who do you like to win the AFC North, the Ravens or the Steelers?
Okay, so they're done playing each other, so it's all determined by the schedules that they have. The Steelers are at Oakland. By the way, James Conner is out of that game.
Listen to this.
They're home for New England. They're at New Orleans. They have home Cincinnati. So depending on the New England game, that's either 3-1 or 2-2. Now, what the Ravens have, they're at Kansas City. They're home Tampa Bay. They're at the Chargers. They're home Cleveland. That looks like 2-2 to me.
2-2.
So I got it 9-6-1 for the Steelers and 9-7 for the Ravens.
Yeah, I do too. You look at the schedule. And, of course, Tony, any given Sunday, something you don't expect can happen, particularly when you get to the very end of the season, if people are just taking a breather or if people are resting somebody.
Does Connor not playing at Oakland scare you?
Yes, it does.
So they could lose that one.
I mean, the Raiders have won, 2 games all season?
I think only 2.
But, man, Connor has been very, very good. He's been effective.
Yeah.
And when he went out of that game the other night, that hurt the Steelers.
But we both think that the Steelers sneak in on the tie. They sneak in
on the half game.
Next.
Toss-up, more impressive coaching career, Nick Saban or Bill Belichick?
Well, interestingly, they both failed in the NFL. Belichick failed at Cleveland, and Saban was his defensive coordinator.
But one of them has also succeeded in the NFL.
Saban failed in Miami, and they've both been great where they went since.
Yeah.
One in college and one in the pros. My prejudice is that it's harder to win in the pros because you can't just go out and recruit who you want and who you need every year. Now, it does help if your quarterback is great and he's there for 19 seasons. I understand it. I would give the edge to Belichick, but if you said to me, well, I'll give you Saban in college, I would be thrilled, and I should add both are unpleasant people to be around for me.
This comes up because Belichick said to somebody that Saban was the greatest out there doing this thing, doing this gig they do.
Well, they won 2.
And it's the guy who coaches in the pros. He can't schedule the Citadel.
That's
so
right.
no matter how bad you think the Raiders or somebody might be, it's not the Citadel at home.
Right.
The answer is always the pro.
That's what I think. Next.
Last one, toss-up, more likely to sign Bryce Harper now, the Nats or the field?
Okay, so they just signed Patrick Corbin, for 6 years and $140 million from Arizona, which means their top 3 starters are Scherzer, Strasburg, and Corbin. Now, you would think for $140 million that the Nats would say to Harper, that's the money we were going to give to you, some of it. We don't have enough money for you. But what if they said to Harper, and I have prejudice here, I like the Nats. What if they said to Harper, we'll give you $100 million for 3 years and you have an out after 3, and we can then negotiate the back end of that and get you up to $300 million. Maybe. That's a chance. Other than that, maybe the Dodgers go out and get him.
But didn't he already turn down, meaning Harper, like $400 million from reports? Didn't he already turn down that much?
Those are reports a week ago or 2 weeks ago. I don't know what they are.
I'm just saying, it seems like the field has an advantage.
There was no opt-out. I would give him an opt-out.
I like
after 3.
Your deal, your proposal.
$100 million.
But you'd also know Scott Boras may not like that. Harper may not even hear of it. Given that Boras runs the show usually with his clients.
But I don't necessarily think that signing Corbin for that money hurts them. It may help them because of the 1, 2, 3.
What about if the Nationals just take their getting something from the Phillies in advance and starting a little war with the Phillies who go back at Bryce Harper?
I would hate if he went to the Phillies.
No, you don't like
That's it. Let's take one last break, but still to come was Cliff Kingsbury smart to take a gig with USC. Number 201 in an easy Patriots win over the LA Rams. Brady now has 232 wins, including playoffs. 2 years from now, we might celebrate what Brady did last Sunday, finally rushing for his 1,000th yard and giggling about it because he knew it was 1,000 and it only took him 31 years.
That's okay. It's kind of like a Pete Rose move, knowing all your numbers.
That's right.
And everybody else's numbers. That's why he's the golden boy and nobody else is.
Happy trails to Markelle Fultz. Last year's top pick is out indefinitely after being diagnosed with thoracic outlet syndrome, a compression or irritation in the area between the lower neck and upper chest. He will begin physical therapy immediately.
This makes me sad. It does, Tony. They say it's possible he might play in 3 to 6 weeks, but who knows? I mean, he has not been what he wants to be or others want him to be since he left Washington. It's sad.
One correction, the Nats offered Bryce Harper $300 million, not $400 million.
What's $100
Let's go to the big finish.
Let's do it.
The NBA fined Patrick Beverley for bounce passing a ball to a heckling fan. Does that make sense?
You can annoy all the players and coaches you want. You can't mess with the fans, and Patrick's got to know that. USC hired Cliff Kingsbury to be their offensive coordinator. Is that a good move?
Puts him in position if Clay Helton is tossed, right? Puts him right there. The Mets hired Chili Davis to be their hitting coach. Your thoughts?
I wish him the same success with the Mets he had with the Cubs. The Nuggets beat the Raptors in Toronto last night. Significant?
Yeah. That's a big road win after a big road win in Portland, after a good win against Oklahoma City. That's a good team. Those may be the 2 best teams right now.
The Lakers in there, too.
Last one, Jim Boylan makes his Bulls head coaching debut tonight. What do you expect, Mr. Bull?
You know what? Those players are still injured, Tony. Marketing just came back. Dunn, I don't think, is back. Portis not back. It's still hard.
A lot of time. Try and do better than next time. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
Your guys. I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, Knuckleheads. You can get the podcast on the app or Apple Podcast.
All right, Coach Josh.